Good morning. We welcome each of you here in today's sanctuary, and we also welcome each of you watching from home. Today, we will consider how self-care promotes well-being by keeping us connected to ourselves and, in particular, connected to what matters most. Research reported by Southern New Hampshire University found that self-care routine has these amazing advantages. If you practice self-care physical and spiritually, it is clinically proven to reduce anxiety and depression, reduce stress, improve concentration, minimize frustration and anger, increase health and happiness, improve energy, and more. I don't know what more there is, but that's a lot of stuff. That's an advantage, that's for sure. I hope each one of us will discover a way to incorporate new and satisfying self-care techniques to our current routines. I am Ann Stevenson, a member of the Sunday Services Committee. We, in this congregation, embrace diversity and welcome you, each one, to our beloved community. I've added a few things to the settings table, as is my habit, to indicate some interest in what's going on. The pink roses, okay. Pink roses are said, can't prove it, but they're said, to add grace, gentleness, joy, and happiness to our environment. Each of these blessings, grace, gentleness, joy, and happiness, are an expression of our own precious self-care. A young woman standing on the glass block is gently holding her heart to remind her to feel tender and loving towards herself, as she reminds us that overcoming grief and sadness is a huge self-care process that we all encounter. The mystery gift reminds us that we all need to remember and honor how many gifts of all kinds we have been given in our lives and how many more we are to receive. I believe Dusty is going to speak with us now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Dusty Colton. Good morning. I'm your treasurer. I'm probably the one to put some stress into the service we can move down. I've been told I have 2 or 3 minutes to speak. Where I'm from, it takes 5 minutes just to say hello, and I'm long-winded, so this is going to be interesting. Dan, this is for you. How many of you know we're in our annual budget drive? And we have 2 weeks to go left, and 84% of our working budget comes out of this annual budget drive, and the Finance Committee in 2 weeks has to start figuring out, based on this, how we are going to budget next year. First of all, I would like to thank this congregation. I've been doing this for a few years now. That last year, we, for the first time, and I don't know when, we actually reached our goal and $800 above it. It was $250,000. And I could go from saying, you know, I don't know if we're going to be able to pay our expenses this year, to it looks like we're going to be able to meet our expenses. Now, for this year's goal is $270,000. That's an 8% increase. But you know what? We've had a boon in people who, friends and new members. We've had 63 new members. We're moving in a lot of energy, and we really think this is an amount that we can reach. Why? I'm going to briefly go through, just quick, why the increase? The new numbers. When you have more people, it takes more to run the congregation. Our Sunday services are now, we're out on the, I don't know what to call it, it's not Zoom anymore, but we're out on the web and the internet. I just met some lovely young people this morning who are here for the first time, who have been listening out in Michigan, not just in Traverse City, but all of Michigan. There are even little groups sometimes listening, also in other parts of the country. Our adult education activities, we're increasing all there's Soul Matters and Sacred Hearts and the fellowship groups we're doing, and we're doing more and more celebrations. We're now fully staffed. We have Jackie in the office, we have Chelsea, we have Anne Marie, we have Jeff back there, we have Luna in the supporting the kids program. We have to support those people. As our congregation wishes, we're building up our kids program, and kids bring in families. We hope sometime to have something for the wee ones and teenagers. I guess we want to have teenagers, of course. But our OWL program has restarted. Our building, you all know our building is beautiful. Our facilities, our grounds are beautiful, but they're over 30 years old. It takes some maintenance doing that, and you know what? When you fill your budget, we can do things like resurfacing the parking lot, like cleaning the building that we haven't done fully in a while. We're working on the signage, and I don't have to say, gee, you know, in the building reserve fund, we've only got $1,000 or $2,000. We've got $13,000 right now. We need it, and we need to keep putting it in there. But it feels a lot better. There's a lot of bad political and social trouble out in the land today. We're going to get into some good trouble. We've got a social action team that's really moving up and growing. In the past years, we couldn't pay our UUA dues. We've been slowly increasing that. This year we paid half. We're going up to 3/4 next year, and hopefully full in the year after. Our minister this is a sabbatical year. He gets some time to rejuvenate spiritually. I've suggested to him that a cave with scrolls and candles and maybe a fasting period of time, a mystical experience. Can you imagine the sermons after that? This is the first time he's heard that, so. And finally, there's inflation. Let's face it, it hit us too. An example, our insurance liability is up 30%. Hopefully that's a one-time thing, but that's the reason for the increases. And now, where are we? Here. So far we've had 21 pledges, and it's for over $66,000, which is great for 21 pledges. We need about 100 more, and there's only 2 weeks to go, guys. We want you to, you have to give what you can give, donate, whatever you want to say, pledge. What's within your budget. You understand that. We hope you can give a little bit more. We understand if you can't. We understand if you have to give less. For those of you who might be want some suggestions out there, I've put a little pile, and it says if you want to look at what UUA thoughts are on pledging, that's fine. But we need to, and on the 14th, you got an email that had how you could pledge online, or you could download our pledge form. It had the packet in it. We've now got a bunch of them out in the on the table out in the lobby. You could fill out one of those paper forms today and catch us up here. And I think I'll just say the most important gift you give is of yourself, and that's what's important. But we do need the financial resources to continue growing and advancing and moving out into the world with our message and our own charity, not charity, our compassion. And there's my stress reading. I don't think I was too long.
Thank you, Dusty. Excuse me. I liked our theme this year. It's called Ignite Our Mission. Doesn't that sound like a real active way to ignite our mission? I hope you all find it in your hearts to participate and to keep the flame getting bigger. If you're visiting today, or if you've not been here for some time and you would like to introduce yourself, please raise your hand, and Chris will bring you the microphone, which will help us to hear you and particularly help the people who are listening online. Any visitors or people renewing their enthusiasm today? Okay, sharing our joys and concerns with our UU congregation helps us to stay connected to each other. Linda Fletcher, a member of the congregational care team, will share your joys and concerns later on in the service. You are invited to write your joy or concern in the booklet on the table over there on your left, or if you prefer, you may light a candle. If you did not enter your joy or concern when you arrived, a good time to do that is right now, during our centering music.
With these ashes, we remember what we're made of, what we're made of. With these ashes, with these ashes we remember we are made of dust.
Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here with us this morning. I'm Reverend Alex, the senior minister here at UUCGT. I use he and him pronouns. And welcome to the Sunday of self-care, the Sunday also before Lent, when the Lent season starts. Today I'll be inviting you into a daily practice of self-care and adding spiritual practices into your life for this Lent season. But before we delve further, I invite you to reach in, to receive these words that is a poem titled Self-Care by James Cruz. Some days it feels like a foreign language I am asked to practice, with new words for happiness, work, and love. I'm still learning how to say a cup of tea for no reason, what to call the extra honey I drizzle in, how to label the relentless urge to do more and more as poison, and how to translate the heart's pounding message when it comes, enough, enough. This morning I search for words to capture the glimmering sun as it lifts above the mountains, clouds already closing in as fat droplets of rain darken the deck. I'm learning to call this stillness self-care, too. Just standing here, watching goldfinches scatter up from around the feeder like pieces of bright yellow stained glass, reassembling in the sheltering arms of a maple.
As we light the chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, please join me in reading our mission, printed on the back of the Sunday services schedule. Okay. Our mission is grounded in love, we protect the web of life by building beloved community, making good trouble, embodying radical love, engaging in lifelong learning. As the singing bowl fades, let us enter into a time of stillness.
Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn today from our teal hymnal, number 1006, In My Quiet Sorrow.
Morning. Would like to invite all of our young friends to come forward, our young and young at heart friends. Come on up. They're not bananas. You're going bananas. Ah, how are we this morning, my friends? It's good to see you. Hi. Your name's Bananas. That's wild. That is bananas. All right, this morning, my friends, we're talking about self-care. How do we take care of ourselves? What are some important things we do to take care of ourselves? What do we think? Sleep? Sleep is super important, absolutely. Eating healthy food, eating food in general. Fresh air, getting outside. Brushing your teeth so they don't fall out of your head. That's very important. Got to keep those teeth clean. How else do we take care of ourselves? It's always we take care of our bodies. How do we take care of our hearts and our minds? That's a little trickier. That's a tricky one. Grown-ups have...
Taking care of your mind would be being outside more than inside.
Being outside more than inside. I love that. That's harder to do this time of year because it's real cold out. But yeah, being outside more than inside, that's taking care of your body and your mind in a way, right? Because you're getting all that sun, and you're getting all that fresh air, and you're not sitting inside staring at your phone or your tablet or your TV or whatever. You're outside enjoying nature, and that's taking care of your body and your mind. Otherwise, we take care of our mind and our heart. We might think kind thoughts toward ourselves, right? We might do kind things for other people. But right now, we're going to practice two things. We're going to do a body practice, and then we're going to do a breathing practice. So our body practice is first. And grown-ups, this is for you too. This is for everybody. Time for all ages. All right. So we're going to do something called a body prayer, or if the word prayer is tough for you, you can use the word meditation. That's okay too. So we're going to start with our body prayer. So find a spot that you feel comfy in your seat. And you can focus your eyes in front of you, or you can just close your eyes, whatever feels most comfy. And you're going to take a big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And one more, in through your nose, out through your mouth. And just keep a good steady rhythm in your breath. And then we're going to put our hands on our bellies. And this is a body practice. And we're going to find our inner quiet. And with our bellies, we're going to say, I find my inner quiet. And you can say that in your head, or you can quietly say it out loud. So I find my inner quiet. And take a breath there. And then we're going to raise our arms up high. And here we're going to say, I open myself to my highest dreams. And take a breath there. And then we're going to bring our hands to our hearts. And we're going to say, I affirm the strength of my inner voice. Take a breath there. And then last one, we're going to put our hands out. I offer myself in service to others. So we're going to repeat that 2 more times. So hands on your belly first. I find my inner quiet. I open myself to my highest dreams. I affirm the strength of my inner voice. I offer myself in service to others. One more time. On your belly. I find my inner quiet. I open myself to my highest dreams. I affirm the strength of my inner voice. I offer myself in service to others. Give yourself a hug. Take a deep breath. And my friends, you can come back to that body practice anytime you need to, anytime you need any of those reminders to listen to your inner voice, to open yourself up to your dreams. And then I have one more practice for us this morning. So I need everybody to take a bubbles. Take a bubbles. Take a bubbles of your choice. Are you looking for a certain color? Are you saying no thank you bubbles? Blue bubbles, pink bubbles, green bubbles. Those are our choices. Does everybody have a bubbles? I'm gonna take, which one do you want? You pick. I'm gonna use blue, or I'm gonna use pink, because pink is one of my favorite colors. Do you want a bubbles? So this is a way that we're gonna practice deep breaths. So we practiced some deep breaths just now with that little meditation, but we're gonna do another deep breath practice. Yeah, do you wanna blow some bubbles, my friend? Does anybody need help getting their caps off? We got it. All right. So take your bubble wand out. You need help? I gotcha. All right, so we are going to think about something that might be a little bit heavy on your heart or on your brain. We're going to picture that thing. We're going to breathe in, and we're going to picture that thing getting captured in these bubbles. So something that might be a little weighing heavy on your heart or on your brain. And then we're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to picture it going into these bubbles. And what happens to our bubbles? They float up and they pop. And so maybe those things that are weighing us down, they might not disappear automatically, right? They might not disappear right away. But sometimes it's nice to just picture some of those things that might be a little bit heavy to us and just let them float away with our breath. So when you need to center your breath, when you need to come back to a deep breath practice, getting bubbles out is a really good way to do that. Grown-ups, blowing bubbles is actually really fun. I don't know if you know this, but like, bubbles are really cheap. Go buy some and just get your bubbles out. And they're just joyful, right? They're fun. You get to feel like a kid again. So highly recommend. Go buy some bubbles. Or make some. You probably have dish liquid at home. You can also make bubbles. It's okay. We don't cry over spilt bubbles. So one more time. Let's all do one together. Can we turn and blow them out this way? Do a bubble explosion at the grown-ups. All right, ready? Deep breath together. All right, grown-ups, these are all your cares. That's a lot. I got to keep going, I know. All right, can we sing our song of response together, my friends? Let's sing our children's song.
We are children of the stars, we are children of the earth, we are spinners and weavers in this web of life, and the joy that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are children of tomorrow, we are children of our dreams. We are planners and builders in this web of life, and the future that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jack Langford, a member of the UU. I also use the pronouns he and him. And as you can see, I was ready for today with my self-care hoodie. So this morning, before the service, I actually got to practice some self-care myself. The way that I respond to self-care best is in sense of beloved community. And as many of you know, I've started a nonprofit that does community-oriented events to help adults make friends. One of my favorite event series that we do is sunrise events. And this morning, in the dead of winter, we chose to go view the sunrise at Graylickville Park. Waking up at 5:30 in the morning to make hot cocoa for a bunch of grown-ups might not be the idea of self-care for everyone, but for me it is. When I'm stirring that cocoa and thinking about all the members I'm going to see, the hugs, the catching up, that brings me so much joy. And I encourage you so strongly during this time to think about self-care for yourself and how a beloved community could be a part of that. Beloved community is a deep part of the Unitarian Universalist ways. Every time I walk through these doors, no matter if it's for a service, for a potluck, during the day just to see Reverend Alex or Jacqueline or someone in the office, I always feel comforted, welcomed, and affirmed here. Reverend Alex has picked up phone calls, whether I've been laughing or I've been bawling my eyes out. Jacqueline has definitely listened to me talk about my dreams of having a more interconnected community. I know I've definitely vented to some staff here about the current political status of everything going on, but finding that beloved community means so much to me. When I think about the things that I need to survive, we all talk about our tier of needs. I would almost say that a sense of belonging is more important to me than food and water. I do not survive well without a sense of belonging. As we get into the service today, I implore you to think about the calendar that Reverend Alex gave you and to look at some of those and think about if there's ways you could do it in a community. Maybe you're a little nervous to do one of those activities, but you've kind of put off calling that friend for a few weeks, and you do need to catch up. And it does say something about a sweet treat. And you have a coupon for a buy one, get one free. Looks like you're calling that friend, right? But I'm so happy to be here with all of you this morning, and I welcome you into the service.
Now is the time for our offering. Please give what you will for this congregation or for those in need in our local community. There are two sides to the offering basket. One is for the congregation, and the other is for our community needs. Please place your offering according to your desires. If you are watching from home, you may give in one of the ways described in the slides. However you choose to give, you may always designate your gift for the congregation or for community needs.
Here comes the fear, it rises and it drifts on by. But I am not this cloud of feelings, I am the sky, I am the sky. Here comes the rage, here comes the heartache, I know the way to stay free. I am not this wave of feelings, I am the sea, I am the sea. This note of feelings, I am the song, I am the song, and I believe in us so much it makes me cry. Not so different, you and I. Fear it threatens to eat us alive, but let's unite and let's survive. Maybe sadness has something to say, so listen. climb it away. And if there's a storm, we can dance in the rain. And remember, stop, breathe, listen, stay free. Oh, you are not your sadness, you are not your fear. Believe me, it'll drift on by. You are not this cloud of feelings, you are the sky, you are the sky. Show love to your rage, love to your heartache. Love is the way we stay free. You are not this wave of feelings, you are the sea. Oh, ooh, ooh, oh, yeah. Here comes the sadness, here comes the fear. It rises and it drifts on by. But I am not this cloud of feelings, I am the sky, I am the sky.
Good morning. I want to tell you before I start here that the last time I spoke with you to present joys and concerns, I was more than a little distressed. Basically, I was very saddened when I looked out across this congregation and realized the hard times that are coming to us. So I apologize to you for not coming on strong and sure, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. Now let me say that these are hard times, and harder times are coming, but there is opportunity here for all of us to grow closer as a congregation and as friends, to rely on each other. I can already feel it. Raise your hand if you feel it too. Yeah. Yeah. We're strong. We are one. I hope you'll give me 1 second because I lost my place on my phone. All right. So basically, now we've come to the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns. I'm Linda Fletcher. I'm a member of the Congregational Care Team. I'm very happy to be there. It is our practice as a religious community to set aside time in our service to name and honor the joys and concerns that mark our lives, the milestones and the moments of our lived experience. We will be sharing the joys and concerns that have been offered today for us to hold on our hearts today. If you have a joy or concern that's a bit too heavy to share, I invite you to reach out to Reverend Alex or the Congregational Care Team. Anybody with Congregational Care Team? Very good. See the hands up? Look for us in the coffee hour. If your joy or concern is still raw and tender, we invite you to hold it in your heart as you are held in this loving community. None of us is meant to travel life's journey alone. And so now, dear ones, here's what has been shared with this gathered community. From Mark and Veronica Dragovich, our oldest son and his 2 young children will soon be moving in with us. Please send good thoughts during this time of transition. And if possible, car seats, a toddler bed, and bedroom furniture. Next is just a notation in here, a candle for Ukraine. Slava Ukraine, okay. For those facing loss, fear, and oppression, that they may find hope in solidarity with those of us who are privileged, Mike and Mary. A concern for all of the federal workers, including my dad, who are facing the possibility of losing their jobs. Yesterday, my dear friends welcomed their first child. Mom and baby are both healthy, and I am excited to be an auntie to this new life, little life, Chelsea. So life goes on. It ain't all over, you know? Really, there are things to be happy about. And here's another one. Congratulations to my niece, Pi. Is that right? Did I say that right? Is it Pi? Okay. One of 13 Eagle Scouts in her freshman class in, help me, what's the name of this college?
Bowdoin College.
Bowdoin College. And something, something?
First
Huh?
female Eagle Scout ever.
Yeah. Big time. You have another few words that precede that statement, and I can't read them.
Congratulations on your TED Talk.
Oh, well, that's later. All right, I can read that. Congratulations on your TED Talk, and boy, do I feel like a slacker. Lawson. Okay. Also, your Sacred Grounds team trusts, that's all in caps, that all the beautiful snow cover will eventually melt into the earth as the spring season approaches. We also trust that once that happens, you will rejoice in seeing lots of leaves and garden debris covering your garden spaces. Furthermore, we trust that you will wait to rake your garden beds until daytime temperatures are consistently above 50 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 7 consecutive days to protect overwintering insects that may still be living in the dead plant material. From your Sacred Grounds team. Thank you very much.
Please join me in taking a couple of deep breaths together. Our meditation are words by Kate Bowler, A Blessing for Ash Wednesday. These days of dust, these days of despair, reality speaks to us clearly. So we approach carefully, hesitantly, barely ready to hear the hard truths we long to be told about the beauty and terror of mortality. How strange it feels, so right and so good, to move forward together, wearing our finitude like a badge, a mess of ash, a reminder, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. How strange it feels, so right and so good, to stand at the edge of awareness, the balance point between being and non-being. I catch my breath as I look and see shining faces. I see it all in an instant, how precious, how holy, how fleeting and infinite each imperfect life. How beautiful, how stubborn, how unfinishable each single existence. We wear this truth, moving forward together, our dust shining like radiant hope. Amen. Let's join in singing our Song of Response, Meditation on Breathing.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
When I breathe in,
Breathe in,
I breathe in.
breathe
When I
out.
breathe out,
Breathe in,
I breathe out.
breathe out.
When I breathe
Breathe in,
I breathe
breathe out.
When I breathe
Breathe
out, I breathe out loud.
Breathe
In, I breathe in
breathe
peace.
out.
I
Breathe in,
breathe out
breathe
loud. When I
out.
breathe
Breathe in,
I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out loud.
Our reading today is from Reverend Alex, current favorite book, which he'll be talking more about in the sermon. It's called Sacred Self-Care, Daily Practices for Nurturing by Shaniqua Walker Barnes. In this excerpt, she speaks about self-care as a way of life. She writes, Lent invites us into a season of reflection, intention, and transformation. Often, the Lenten season is marked by the practice of giving something up. But what if instead we viewed it as a time for taking on practices that will nourish and sustain us? In a world where we're constantly giving of ourselves to family, to work, and to our community, there is deep wisdom in choosing to replenish our own spirits. Sacred self-care strengthens our capacity to show up fully in the world. It's not a self-indulgence. It is, in fact, preparation for the life we are called to live. That is a life of connection, justice, and compassion. Sometimes renewal requires letting go. This might mean releasing habits or tendencies that no longer serve us. Perfectionism is one to let go that convinces us that we must be without flaw. Or another one is toxic positivity that hides our true feelings and keeps us from authentic relationships. But letting go is only part of the journey. The deeper invitation is to take on new practices to enrich and sustain us. Practices that will lead us toward a fuller life. This need for life-affirming practices is deeply personal for me. I am a 2-time breast cancer survivor from a family that has lost loved ones to that disease. Though I am cancer-free, I live daily with the awareness that life is fragile. I'm also an African-American woman living in the South, carrying the generational weight of survival through injustice. In a world where the names of Black lives lost to violence have become hashtags. I live daily with the awareness of the precarity of life. For me, self-care is not optional. It's a way of choosing life, a practice that ushers me toward resurrection. Self-care connects us to what is sacred. It acknowledges that we are whole beings, mind, body, and spirit, and that caring for ourselves is part of caring for our world. By embracing practices that nurture us, we become better able to live lives of purpose and love, grounded in the here and now. Oh my gosh.
Thanks for that intro, Anne. How many of you would say that you're experts in self-care? Well, how many of you feel like you might need to be doing a bit of a self-care tune-up? Any hands? Well, good. So this sermon's for you. All those of you that have already mastered self-care can go ahead and head home. I think this will be some pretty basic material for you. In my first year of ministry, I was really bad at self-care. With learning the ropes as a new minister and trying to find balance in the midst of so many demands, I really did not have a good balance in life. I found myself running into each day exhausted, feeling like I wasn't prepared or there wasn't enough time for me to pause or to rest. I was even doing things like skipping meals, conveniently forgetting to pack a lunch, letting my life feel like this open free-for-all with all the different demands. My spiritual practices that I developed in my time in seminary weren't holding me. I found myself letting go of my regular routines, my meditating, journaling, going on daily walks for my head. And at the end of my first year here as minister, I felt spiritually sick, even verging on burnout. This wasn't working, and yet it felt like this thing that I couldn't quite tame. Life just felt untamable to me. And sometimes what we need most is actually a total breakdown before we realize what we really need to do in changing our course. For me, that time came right around the holidays in my second year here. I just couldn't sustain this imbalance anymore, and so I looked for something that could help, something that could minister to me in my broken place. Someone else to actually do the spiritual driving for me, to tell me where to even start in trying to get things balanced. And so to my surprise, I discovered this book, Sacred Self-Care, from my colleagues in the United Church of Christ. Those of you that know the UCC know that there are close spiritual cousins to the UU. This was their denomination-wide common read, and I was curious to see if it could help me with where I was at in all of this. And so that winter, I threw myself into this practice, spending time each morning to read through the book, trying on each daily spiritual practice, taking with me what worked, and then leaving behind anything that didn't. And I completely reinvented not only my spiritual life, but my own orientation to self-care and how to incorporate it into my daily rhythms. This book changed me, and kept me from burning out. And so I wanted to offer this and share this book with you in these times when you might be feeling fatigued and on the verge of burning out yourself. This morning, we're talking about the importance of sacred self-care at a time when it is most desperately needed in our world. We are in a country and world that feels wearying, with a runaway administration that is actively trying to burn all of us out, with a planet Earth that is in crisis due to climate change, with ongoing wars, natural disasters, and economic inequality, and stoked fears of marginalized groups, of immigrants, LGBTQ+ folks, all those that are deemed as an other. We are in need of a self-care tune-up in this world that is moving the needle toward burnout each and every day. This Lent, starting this coming Ash Wednesday, I encourage you to join me in this self-care journey. Rather than traditional Lent practices that tell us to deprive ourselves or take things away, we're going to try on a ritual of adding things in. This book outlines a 49-day journey that invites you to try on a different spiritual practice for each day of Lent. The whole idea of this journey is to try things out and to take with you what works, and then to leave the rest behind. That's a pretty good sell to some UUs, I think, in the room. Ultimately, self-care must become a way of life for us if we're going to endure and survive all that is coming ahead. There are too many powers and forces hoping that we'll grow tired and apathetic, that will otherwise burn ourselves out and lose interest. Today, I challenge you to do this self-care tune-up to make sure that you have the tools and resources that you need so that you don't burn out. This is vital right now. There are three important things that I want to discuss that relate to this topic of self-care. The first of these points is that spiritual practices and self-care practices are actually one and the same. This was revolutionary to me, absolutely mind-blowing. In my own life and spiritual journey, I had bad models for what I thought spiritual practices looked like, for what having a, quote, spiritual life looked like. Initially, I shrugged it off, thinking all of this self-care talk was kind of hokey, maybe shallow, even a bit woo-woo for my tastes. Growing up, I really didn't have models for what good spiritual practices looked like. I envisioned monks meditating for hours on end, devout Christians getting up at 4 a.m. every morning to read the Bible. For me, I thought spiritual practices had to be something painful and hard, or else there wasn't any power to them. The whole no pain, no gain philosophy. So not true. The truth is, we UUs struggle with spiritual practice. We come from so many different backgrounds and traditions that we don't often find many spiritual practices that feel native to our own tradition. And so we often bring with us the spiritual practices from our upbringings, or the practices that we remember from prior communities we've been a part of, as these are the practices that we know. And for some of us who lean more skeptical, it can be hard to see the connection between our own spirituality and how we can engage that spirituality with traditional practices. Part of caring for our whole selves is engaging in spiritual practices in the broadest sense. Anything from reading and reflecting on Scripture to making time to be out in nature can be a spiritual practice. No matter who we are or what we believe, our spiritual lives need tending. Self-care and spiritual practice are truly one and the same when we're doing it right. And all of us stand to benefit from finding spiritual practices that fill our cups. That's my first point, that self-care is spiritual practice, is also self-care. They're one and the same. Now, second, self-care is actually a subversive and countercultural thing that you can do right now to resist and counter the forces at work in oppression and exploitation. The author of this book, Dr. Shaniqua Walker-Barnes, describes it well in telling us that we are in the midst of a death-dealing world. A womanist theologian, she points to how this world is rife with oppression and systemic injustice, with spiritual and emotional depletion as the norm. A world where the harms of racism, sexism, and economic exploitation claim lives every single day. Self-care in a world like this is defiance. It is defiant to the cultures of productivity, capitalism, and workism that tell us to slow down and to rest is to be lazy. Self-care is an affirmation of our own sacred worth, the worth and dignity that is inherent to ourselves and not inherent just to others. Self-care stewards our creative potential and allows us to imagine new ways of being in our world, aiding us in creating new visions for the world we want to live in. Self-care is not lazy or passive. It's actually very subversive. That's the second point. Now, the last point I want to make is that self-care is also resilience. Spiritual practices are called spiritual practices because they take practice. They take discipline in doing them. Engaging in spiritual practice means practicing these things even when we don't think we need to do them. Have any of you felt like that before? In fact, why we practice these spiritual practices is so that they're there for us when we actually do need them. As Unitarian Universalists, it is each of our tasks to figure out which of these spiritual practices actually work for us. And this doesn't mean that we have to practice spiritual practices that don't work for us or even sometimes cause us harm. Instead, we're each on a quest to discover what it is that fills our cup and then commit ourselves to actually practicing it. Eventually, we train ourselves to love and care for ourselves just as much as we love and care for others. Maybe we'll never fully get there, but it is so important to find practices that hold us and remind us that we're connected to a larger spiritual whole. It's really hard work to reframe the messages we receive in our lives that tell us to take care of ourselves is something that is selfish, that we have to earn our rest, that our self-worth is tied up in what we do or how helpful we are to others. Self-care offers us a path toward resilience if we're willing and able to work at it, but then actually practice it. So this is where you get to choose your own path and journey. There's still time for you to get a copy of this book if you're wanting to join us on this spiritual practices journey. Knowing my audience, I want to offer a disclaimer that this book is written from a liberal Christian perspective. For each day's reflection, it does feature a verse of scripture on self-care and a reflection on how you can try on that spiritual practice in your daily life. You're free to leave or take the scripture verses. Some of us might not feel comfortable reading scripture. And if that's a barrier for you, I actually do have a couple of other books to recommend that approach spiritual practices from a broader perspective. So reach out to me if you're curious about that. What is important, however, in this book are the spiritual practices themselves, which are beyond any single tradition. The author does a beautiful job of weaving these practices in an open way that allows you to see what fits and to leave behind what doesn't fit for you. And what's revolutionary about this 49-day approach is how it moves you from some of the self-care basics, like making sure that you're eating well, you're staying hydrated, that you're getting enough sleep and rest in your life, all the way to trying out things like loving kindness meditations, spirituality found in play, even the spirituality you can sometimes find in silence. There's a whole buffet of spiritual practices for you to try out on this journey, and available also to you that some of you might have received on your way in is actually a printed calendar that has kind of the labeled events for each of the different days coming up of Lent with each of the spiritual practices. So this is available to you. You don't necessarily need the book, but the book will definitely have some more greater depth on each of these different practices for you. My hope is that our weekly journey group will be a rich place for sharing and reflecting together. Those of you interested in participating in that will be meeting on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. here in the sanctuary, not starting this Tuesday, but starting next Tuesday, March 11th. You're welcome to join us each week as we reflect and pause together on the journey. This will be a place to share what practices are working, any challenges that you're having with these daily practices, engaging in self-care with what we're already bringing with us into the room as well. And so engaging in self-care and spiritual practice has been life-saving for me in my ministry. Now I make time each morning to meditate, journal, and reconnect with myself before going about my day. It's now a rhythm that I know and anticipate, and that I absolutely don't feel right about if I ever skip out on it. Because of these practices, I'm now more equipped to handle the demands of daily life, to feel like I'm even thriving, even when my days feel long and unending, or when I still have more on my to-do list than can be accomplished. Self-care is a refuge for you, one that empowers you to reclaim your own sacred worth and to say no to the powers and forces that would have you burn out and work your life away. We cannot find our wholeness without making room for self-care and spiritual practice in our daily lives. This is so immensely important right now that you find and develop the spiritual tools to survive and endure all that is coming around the corner. These forces that seek to isolate and divide us cannot win if we prioritize the care for ourselves and engage in practices that remind us that we're not alone. So to close, this Lent, I invite you to make room for your spirit. Come with me on this self-care journey, the spiritual practices tune-up, and as we travel the days ahead, may we approach each day with curiosity and openness, allowing ourselves to try things on and to let go of the things that no longer serve us. May we find ourselves strengthened in this time of great spiritual challenge and sickness in our country and world. And may we reclaim our own sacred worth and dignity as we work to defend the sacred dignity and worth of others. I hope you'll join me. Practice on. Amen. Let's join in a brief moment of stillness together. So again, just a reminder that there are some of these calendars, I believe, still available if you'd like one after the service. And our journey group will begin next Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, March 11th at 4 p.m. if you're interested in participating. I have a couple of other announcements to make. This coming Tuesday at 7:30 in our sanctuary will be a 7:30 p.m. will be a Taizé meditative prayer service by candlelight offered by our very own Mr. Fred. So please come. This is in the deep Catholic tradition of Taizé. You're very welcome to come and participate in that and prepare yourselves for Lent coming up. We also have another special event happening on Ash Wednesday. Instead of doing ashes, we're going to be doing a lot of glitter. I don't know if there are any glitter fans around. Maybe not glitter in the room, of course, but folks that like glitter. Chelsea and I will actually be out there together this Wednesday, 3 to 6 p.m. You can kind of come by and drive by our parking lot. We'll have some different rainbow glitter to offer you a little bit of a blessing. And then we also have some hot cocoa that you can decorate with all sorts of rainbow sprinkles. So it should be a really wonderful time. We got the idea, too, to start putting rainbows on people's heads, instead of crosses. I think that could be a kind of cool thing. So come on by. It'll be a fun time. And then lastly, just to mention, if you're wishing to express your support for Ukraine in this time, there's going to be a table out there in the social hall where you can make some Support Ukraine pins, some of the blue and yellow fabric that is also available. So go see the table out in the social hall for that action item if you're interested. And game night. When is that happening? I think we're off. Yeah, so coming up will be also a family game night on March 14th. More information we'll share about that as it approaches. And now, let's go into singing our closing hymn.
Would you please rise and join us in body and spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 1057, Go Lifted Up.
Guide your journey.
hands for our closing here, or outstretch your hands in the symbol of please do not touch me. We welcome this as well if you're a person that doesn't like to be touched. Those of you online are welcome to join us in this as well, and Anne will lead us in some closing words.
Rumi encourages us to remember our inner strength in times of difficulty. If everything around you seems dark, look again. You may be the light.
And in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, in the spirit of caring for ourselves and fostering our wholeness, may we be made ready to serve one another and create the world we so desperately dream of. Go in peace, pass a little squeeze or an Air 5, and happy Sunday. You put so much intentionality